Hi, this is Ron Wasserman, the guy who wrote all those original Power Ranger songs. I've just recut them on a new album called Power Rangers Redux, which you can find at iTunes. I have some questions here I'm going to answer. All right, question number one. How did these theme songs come about? For X-Men, that was actually based on a bass groove that had been worked up by Ron Kanan, who was vice president or president of music at Saban. He had a song with a band called Piranha Canoe. Yes, Piranha Canoe. And he came in with just that bass line, and I wrote the rest of the track over it, and then we tweaked it, and we had the X-Men theme. VR Troopers. I am not positive if I wrote that or co-wrote that one, but it was just another one where we came up with the soundbite first, "We are VR," and we developed the track around it. Mummies Alive. That was through Deke Entertainment. They once again, I've got a one sheet on what the show was about, and I just sat down and worked out those lyrics until they sounded good, and then wrote the melody around it. I think I did the lyrics first on that. Batman, that was for Warner Brothers Interactive, so that was for online, so it was kind of loosely based on the Danny Elfman theme. Sweet Valley High, that was just a song I came up with once I read the breakdown on what the show was going to be about. And once again, I just started with the hook, with the Sweet Valley High. Excuse my voice, it's a little raspy today. Sound awful. Next question, Invasion of the Space Pirates. The creator of that came to me and said he wanted something that had a pirate feel, which I thought was a great idea. So I think I pulled up the accordion first off with that do 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 do, and started writing that wild theme. So that one turned out great. Sushi Pack. I got the one sheet on that and a couple pictures of the little sushi sitting in a restaurant, and I just thought I would do something relating to a sushi chef in the background. So I started with the sushi, and then thought, wow, these are kind of weird characters. It takes place in a city. It's at night a lot, at least the initial photos I had, or artwork. And I thought I'd make it a little dark and quirky. And what's funny is they rejected that theme. And then they went with another theme from another composer, a friend of somebody at the production company. And it got such a terrible response that they ended up switching back to my theme. And that was that. I was very happy to get that news. Okay, next question. What programs do you use to create your awesome music nowadays? Pro Tools, which is made by Avid. I've used Pro Tools almost exclusively for the past 12 years or so. So it's an HDX3 system. Within that, I have all the virtual instruments, just about everything made, so I can pull up any sound and do everything from an orchestra to rock to country. So that's my main program. Next question, is there a theme or a song in general you would like to do a cover track for, and if so, why? I am now working on a new album with my wife. The band name is Fisher, and you can go to fishertheband.com if you want to check that out. We've been around for a long time. I was thinking it would be great. She's got kind of a Sarah McLachlan type vibe. I thought it would be cool to take Black Sabbath's song called War Pigs and do kind of a piano vocal soft version. And I told her about this the other day, and she was pretty interested in it. So hopefully I can talk her into it. For me, I would personally love to do a cover of a song called Spinnin' Plates by Radiohead. They have a piano version out there they did live that I think is beautiful, and that would be fun. Next question. So what was the atmosphere like at Power Morphicon? Well, 2 years ago for me it was much bigger audience and a lot of fun. because I was there on a Saturday. This last August, I was there on a Friday night, and there was about 40, 50 people, and it was still great, and I still had a great time hanging out with everybody. But the convention was kind of not that busy yet. I think a lot of people were probably coming in Friday night. So it was still fun, but I think in a couple years, if they have me back, I'm going to ask for a Saturday or an early Sunday. Next question is things I miss about the past. Zippo, zilch, nothing. I don't miss a thing about the past. Every year seems to get better and be more fun for me. So that's really it. Next question. You mentioned that you left Saban the end of 1995, but you still produced music for Power Rangers Zeo, Turbo, and Power Rangers in Space. Did Saban convince you to do more music for the series? No, they didn't have to. What would happen is my friend there, Ron Kanan, would call and say, we'd love to have you come in and sing on this or co-write it or write it. And I just needed to leave Saban in 95 because I worked there about 70 to 80 hours a week constantly for years, and I was just really burned out. So when they called me back, it would be very simple, be a couple days work. I think I was also doing Dragon Ball Z at home around that time. I just needed to break the routine of going in there every day. Next question is about Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. How were you approached for that? I was never approached for that in any way. I was going to do the first movie that they did in 1995, and I had meetings at 20th Century Fox, and I remember working up some of the demo stuff they'd sent me. They sent me some footage, dailies. And I scored them, and I know 20th Century Fox loved it because we had discussed keeping the entire score hard rock, avoiding the obvious, which was to run to an orchestral thing. But unfortunately, Haim Saban decided to have somebody else do it, and they went with an orchestral score and kind of lost its punch, and I wasn't even asked to sing the theme, which was not cool, and another one of the reasons I left. The movie songs. Was there a story behind these songs, an emotion and feeling? Okay, so Hope for the World. Yeah, Hope for the World was just about feeling that the country was heading in the wrong direction and that there's no more heroes. I think I'd already written We Need a Hero. It's about not having anybody to look up to except, a lot of kids were looking up to these Power Ranger characters. So I think that's what the song's about. It gave them a hero, which was great because there was really no other superheroes that kids were looking up to. Unite is just about the Power Rangers. It's just about coming together, working as a team, another positive message, and accomplishing a common goal. Have the Japanese requested or asked if you would create music for Super Sentai? No, I've never been contacted by them to do anything. Next question. I heard somewhere there was a funny story about how Tenga Bye Bye and I Know a Place for MMPR came about. Yeah. So I'll start with I Know a Place. What would happen is I'd get in there about 6 o'clock, and there was a whole bunch of us in post-production. I was the only composer. The other guys were doing sound effects or editing and whatnot. Right around 10 p.m., we'd all head out for a drink, and it kind of became our thing to see how much we could get done and run over to the bar for a couple hours, then come back and work another 4 or 5 hours. So that song, I Know a Place, is about a bar, which was a dump, called The Voyeur, and it was right there in Burbank on Alameda, I think. They're long gone, but that's what that song's about. Tenga Bye Bye. So they needed something quirky and funny for these crazy-looking birds, and every time I would have a meeting with Haim Saban, he would just wrap it up, when he wanted, of course, and he'd go, thank you, bye-bye, while moving on to the next thing. So I just thought, Tenga, bye-bye, and that's how that song came about. It's not an insult to him at all. It's a little tip of the hat to him. Next question. Were you aware that your wife, Kathy, was performing All to Myself, which was a beautiful song? at the end of a scene for MMPR during season 3. Yes, I was aware that I'd written the song, and I know it was either Power Rangers or another show. I might be in there in the background in the band. I'm not sure if this was the scene. But yeah, she did it, and it was great. I was really trying to get her all the promotion I could because we were starting to launch our band Fisher. Next question. Any musical inspirations throughout your music career? Yes. Very diverse, though, because my tastes change frequently. So I would grow up listening to Top 40, and what I had was this old radio, and I put a giant antenna up on our roof, and I would go through, it wasn't ham, it was shortwave, and I would go through and I would find stations down in South America, and I'd listen to what they were playing, or I'd find stuff down in Mexico or up in Canada. I think I was even able to get a few stations in Europe. That was all an inspiration, but I focused a lot on George Gershwin, huge influence, Elton John, and then when I started getting into rock, it was, Pink Floyd and Zeppelin and Genesis, because Genesis was keyboard based, and I was, of course, into that. That's my primary instrument, pretty much my only instrument, actually. Next question. Easy and difficult music projects throughout your career? They're pretty much all difficult. There's always a lot of cooks in the kitchen with their notes on what they feel you should be doing and the changes they make. And a lot of the time, what the music starts out being, my first demo, it ends up being unrecognizable later on by the time everybody has stuck their finger in it and made their little changes. So they're all difficult. Power Rangers was probably one of the easiest because I wrote the track one evening in a couple hours, and the next day Fox heard it and loved it and said, okay, that's the theme. So I was able to have established the sound already of a rock thing and use that for the score. And no one really got much in my way on that one. When the show really took off 2-3 months or a month or whatever it was after it started airing, then definitely I started getting more notes. And then there was a point where kids, I guess, were getting in fights a lot using the music. So that brought in the government, who made a request that I tone it down, no more minor chords, no more words like fight or battle or anything negative, and I keep things up and positive, which, it's fine, it's a reasonable request. I considered it a compliment that they even knew I existed. So that got a little difficult near the end, but for the most part, I think Power Rangers may have been the easiest series I've worked on. Next question. How did you manage to maintain your amazing vocals through Power Ranger songs? Thank you very much for even asking that. That's a very nice compliment. Before I even told anybody that I was going to do this, I did a rough version of the theme and sang it, and then took a few days off and listened back to it just to make sure that I could even still do it. Some of those notes on the high harmonies were hard for me to hit 20 years ago. And of course, as you get older, you lose your higher range. But I think the reason I was able to retain mine is because I didn't sing regularly. I mean, the last time I sang an album's worth of material was when I was doing Power Rangers. I've done guide vocals. I've done a few things since, maybe a couple of years, but never really sat down and did an entire album since then. So I guess it was just still there, luckily. Will it be there in 10 more years? Yeah, who knows?